Salvete omnes! If you'd like to support the channel along with these patrons, there's a link in the description box below. Today's story contains a lie that you might have been taught in elementary school, but we will indulge in a bit of fantasy in order to learn some important words in Latin, and maybe the lie will help you remember the new words better. We will go through the story first so that you can try to guess the meaning of some of the new words, since most of them have a pretty clear connection to their English translations. Columbus fuit nauta, sed Columbus non habuit navem. Columbus venit ad reginam Isabellam. Columbus dixit, mundus est rotundus, mundus non est planus. Navigabo ad Indiam ut id demonstrem. Regina dedit pecuniam ut navem emat. Et Columbus trans oceanum navigavit. Sed Columbus non Indiam invenit, Columbus invenit Americam. Et numquam in Indiam navigavit. So hopefully you guessed some of these words. Columbus fuit nauta. Nauta is a nautical person or sailor, and is one of the 4 first declension nouns that is masculine. We have seen poeta, agricola, and now nauta. The 4th is pirata, whose meaning should be pretty obvious, a pirate. Before, we learned the word erat, which means he or she was. That was the imperfect tense. Fuit is the perfect tense version. Here's the difference between the two. They both mean she or he was, but erat means he or she was and maybe still is, while fuit means he or she was and isn't anymore. We use fuit when speaking of a completed action and erat when the action is uncompleted at the time described. So since Columbus is no longer living, we will be using the perfect tense throughout this story. Sed Columbus non habuit navem. And what's a navis? Something the Navy uses, a ship. So, non habuit navem means didn't have a ship. And who did Columbus come to? Columbus venit ad reginam Isabellam. A regina is a regal woman that reigns, i.e., a queen. Then Columbus said the world is rotundus. This can mean rotund, but here it obviously has the meaning round or spherical. And he also said the world is not planus. Carpenters use a plane, pictured here, to make wood flat or level. A plain, Plain, is also a large area of flat land with few trees. Navigabo ad Indiam ut id demonstrem. Then we have this word, navigabo. It looks like a cross of the imperfect tense and the present tense, but this is the future tense, so this means I will sail or navigate. Latin doesn't use helping verbs like will or going to. Instead, there's a separate conjugation pattern for this tense. This tense was introduced briefly in the Latin through pictures videos. For are verbs, this tense is almost the same as the imperfect tense, as we can see here. We replace the a after the b with an I for most cases. It is only the first person and third person that are different. For those it is navigabo and navigabunt. Do you recognize the form of demonstrem? The infinitive of this verb is demonstrare, so we know that this is the subjunctive form because the vowel changed from a to e. When the word ut is followed by a verb in the subjunctive form, it takes on the meaning in order to. In this case, in order to prove. When ut is not followed by the subjunctive, it has the meaning like or as we've seen before. Id is the neuter form of is and ea, so this means it, and refers back to the claim that the world is round. So this sentence means, I will sail to India in order to prove this. This, of course, is the lie. At that point in history, it had been known that the Earth was a sphere for around 2,000 years. The Greeks had even devised a way to measure the circumference of the earth. But for some reason, this is still sometimes taught, like it was in my elementary school. Regina dedit pecuniam ut navum emat. Then the queen dedit pecuniam. Dedit is the past tense of dat. And you might have heard legal terms like pecuniary liability or responsibility, etc. Pecunia just means money. Emat, the subjunctive form of emit. This word is a little hard to recognize, but it's in the word redeem. We redeem a coupon when we want to buy something. So this sentence means the queen gave money in order to buy a ship. Columbus invenit Americam. In the last two sentences, we have a half-false friend. Invenit looks a lot like invent, and this is in fact one of its meanings. But obviously, Columbus didn't invent America. One could argue also that he didn't discover it either, but that's the meaning here. And there's not so much of a difference between inventing and finding something. Et numquam in Indiam navigavit. And finally, numquam means never, so umquam means ever, or at any time. Try to ask Columbus now, have you ever been to India? Fuistine umquam in India? Remember, the ending for the to form is isti in the perfect past tense. And his answer would have been minime, which of course means no, or the opposite of yes, which in Latin is ita est. Okay, let's go through the story one more time. Columbus fuit nauta, sed Columbus non habuit navem. Columbus venit ad reginam Isabellam. Columbus dixit, mundus est rotundus. Mundus non est planus. Navigabo ad Indiam ut id demonstrem. Regina dedit pecuniam ut navem emat. Et Columbus trans oceanum navigavit. Sed Columbus non Indiam invenit. Columbus invenit Americam. Et numquam in Indiam navigavit. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share, and if you can, help support the channel on Patreon, where there are audio downloads and transcripts of each dialogue and story. Gratias!